Josh Lewenberg, TSN. Masai, there's a risk, a certain level of risk associated with any trade, but maybe a higher level of risk in a trade like this. What made you feel that this risk at this time was necessary, and what makes you confident that it'll be worth that risk?
We've been doing this for how many years? You know, you can't continue doing the same thing over and over again. And when you get a chance to get a top 5 player, which it doesn't come very often, I think you have to jump on it. And I think we've given a chance to this team. We've tried to build it as much as we can. But at this point, we got to this level where this opportunity came in front of us, and we had to jump on it.
Masai, it's Doug Smith, the Toronto Star. In your conversation with Kawhi and his representatives, have you got any assurances that he's anxious about playing here in Toronto? Do you feel he has to rehab his reputation in the league? And what do you think about his long-term opportunities with the Raptors?
You know, that's my job, and I think that's why I'm in this seat, is to try and figure that part out. I've had conversations with Kawhi, with his agent, with his uncle, and everything has gone well. I look forward to meeting with them face to face, and that's our responsibility. You know, is to figure it out and to make them as comfortable as possible. And I think on his part, I'll hear more from what he wants in our team or in the future, and we'll go from there. I take responsibility for that, and I'm confident. I think we have a good game plan, and we'll see how that goes.
Masai, Michael Grange from Sportsnet. Has Kawhi passed his physical? And when do you anticipate him being able to play at an NBA level?
I can't anticipate that, but I know he'll be doing a physical in the next few days. Not yet, but he'll be here shortly.
Masai, Bruce Arthur from the Toronto Star. In terms of what you're trying to build here and what you have built here, what are you trying to sell to Kawhi Leonard, given that he's a guy who can determine his own future in a year, and the early indications, at least, is that he doesn't know much about what he's getting into?
Again, I hear you, Bruce, but it's my job. I think there's a lot to sell here. Our team, our culture, our city, our ownership. We have everything here except a championship, in my humble opinion. I don't think we lack anything in this city. We have great fans. We have a great organization. We have a great following. I think we have a great country. There is something about this place that reaches out to the whole world, and we're proud of that, and we're going to continue to sell that, and hopefully it's an appeal not only to him but to more NBA players.
Masai, did anyone from the Raptors organization give DeMar any indication that he would not be traded? And did you tell him he would not be traded? He seemed to feel he had been slighted. Was that the case? Or if so, when was the last time he was told he wouldn't be traded?
I had a conversation with DeMar at Summer League, and I really want to leave it at that. We spoke, and I spoke to him on I think maybe my mistake was talking about what we expected going forward from him. So not necessarily talking about trade, but what I expect from him going forward. And I think that's where the gap was, because in my job, I always have to assume that we're going forward with the team that I have. And if there was a miscommunication there, I do apologize to DeMar and his family and his representation. It's not what I meant, but these things come and go, opportunities come and go, and we have to react in my position, and I had to react at this time with this deal on the table.
Masai, you touched upon loyalty earlier, and a lot of fans online were talking about why would we trade our most loyal player for a guy who allegedly has expressed a lack of interest to come play in Canada, who's also going to be a free agent within a year?
Yeah, I haven't heard. Yeah, he didn't express a lack of interest to not play in Canada to me. A lot of these things are everybody has their own opinion about everything, and I know firsthand. I dealt with this kind of a situation in my first job as a rookie, so I know firsthand how these things work and how they don't work. And I understand with DeMar, he was unbelievably loyal to us. I've never seen anything like this, and it's honestly like why I would not be doing this, one day, because the human part of this business is to me, is what it's all about. And he has no fault. Our team is just not at that level, and we keep pounding on the same thing over and over again. I think if we look at ourselves honestly, everybody knows that, even anybody that questions, we have to do something different, even if it wasn't this. We have to figure out something different, and I take responsibility for that. But I haven't gotten that sense from Kawhi Leonard or his people, and I'm going to give him that chance when we meet face to face.
And earlier this week, there was a Toronto City Councilor who suggested maybe we should have a Raptors legend row and include a statue of potentially maybe Vince and also DeMar. Is that something you would support here?
I'd do anything in my power. DeMar is the greatest player that has played till now for Toronto. I think everybody knows that, at least what he's done here, and I can guarantee you that he will be respected for that, and he will be acknowledged for that in the biggest way that we possibly can do it, as long as I'm here.
The emotional aspect of this summer. When you have a really good team and you're moving them to that elite championship level, how tough have these moves been with doing Casey and DeMar, just for you personally?
Honestly, it's not about me. It's about them, and I repeat that the human part of this business is not. Is what I'm about. The other part is just tough for me. You build these relationships. I'm not here to cry. I'm not here to. I don't want anybody's pity, because it's not me. I still have my job. I'm still standing here. But with Casey and DeMar, I know what we've gone through, and I know everything we did together. But I also know their loyalty. I know, and I know who they are as human beings. At the end of the day, sports, you want to win, and you want to win a championship. And you know what? I can also, I hate to be defensive here, but I can also say, when I came here, I gave them a chance. I could have done anything I wanted. When I took the job, I could have let the coach go. I could have traded players, but we kept giving a chance and giving a chance. And, maybe at some point, we have to do something different, and I'm actually happy that we did something different on a high, which gives them a chance. DeMar is going to an unbelievable organization. It gave Casey a chance, and he has a job with an unbelievable organization. I'm hoping that they rode out on a high horse, and with great pride of what they've done here, and I feel proud of them and what they did. But honestly, on the human side, I just got back from Africa 2 hours ago, and I haven't slept. It's not for anybody to pity me, but that's the nature of the job. That's the nature of what we do, and I keep thinking about this, but the risks is what puts people above, and I'm willing to take risks. My team is willing to take risks. I think I want to acknowledge Bobby and these guys. They've been great on the ground, doing a lot of work. So honestly, it's about them, and I wish them the best and success, and I hope that friendship and everything that we built in 5 years, can continue one day further.
So I call Kelly, Globe and Mail. You said that you've talked to Kawhi. Can you give us, there's a lot of suggestion that he's resistant to coming to Toronto. Can you give us some sense of these conversations, when they started, and what you've talked about with him?
I've only talked to him a couple times. I know Bobby has talked to him too, and his representation. And I didn't get a sense of any negativity or anything different from just wanting to know me or know us better, and looking forward to meeting and talking face to face. So honestly, I would tell you, if it's a challenge, I'm an open person, I'm up for the challenge. I would tell you that yes, it is a challenge, but it's nothing that I think that we're not put in position to handle. That's again our jobs, and I want to lift this team. I want to lift this organization. I want to lift this city and this country, and hopefully he can see who we are, and his representation can see who we are, and we'll move on to basketball from there.
Ryan Wolstad, Toronto Sun. Without the medical information and with everything that happened last year, how confident are you that Kawhi is going to get back to 100%? And obviously there's some risk here with everything, but how confident are you that he's going to get back to the player that he was?
All I'll say is without all this medical drama that there is, we have no chance of talking to a player like that. Zero. You have no chance. He would be in San Antonio, and we wouldn't have a chance to get him. This is why we have a chance, and this is the risk that you are taking. We've looked at some of the medical, like as soon as the deal was done, and the rest will depend on the physical that will be done shortly.
Ian Harrison, Associated Press. What do you expect from a Raptors team coached by Nick Nurse and starting Kawhi Leonard, and what else might you want to do this summer before training camp to beef up that team that you have right now?
I just came from Africa, so I'll leave that question to Bobby. He's handling a lot of all the other trades or talks or what's going on, but we're confident with this team, and honestly, it's continuous work. We're happy with this team. We still have a lot of the players that we have, and the combination of the players we have, we're confident, and if any other moves or deals come our way that make sense for our team to get better, to win a championship, I think we have to look at that, because there is a certain window, and we acknowledge that.
Masai, Phil Perkins, CHCH. Speaking of the team that you have currently in place, have you heard from Kyle Lowry at all since all these moves have been made?
I haven't talked to Kyle. I'm sure Kyle is. I'm sure this is hard on him. I completely understand. I haven't talked to him since, communicated with him since summer league. But I know this is tough for him, and eventually it's one of his best friends in the world. You know, like they did everything together. It was the dynamic duo of the Toronto Raptors for years. They carried us, and they brought us to where we are. I hope. But I hope to talk to him soon.
Masai, we all know that in the NBA, superstars are almost an essential piece of any championship team. You've never had a top 5 player on a roster. What do you think, if this works out, if he's healthy and it works out as a long-term marriage, what does this allow you to do? How does it change the ceiling of this franchise?
It does, because we're stepping in a territory that we never have, and there's a hurdle that we have to cross now, and that's first and foremost is a face-to-face meeting with him and talking and seeing how this relationship can grow, whether it's temporary or whether it's for the future. But having that caliber of player tells another story and gives you more opportunity, obviously, and I'm curious to find out what that is.
Masai, Michael Grange from Sportsnet. Just for clarity, like at one point did DeMar or his agent, did they ask you about them being traded? Just because there were some rumors kicking around. So did it come up in a conversation in any way, and what did you say?
You know, after every season, you know, like I meet with all the agents of the players, or Bobby does, and I did meet with DeMar's representation, and for me, is to lay out what all the options are. And when I met with Aaron at Summer League, I think maybe my mistake was saying there was nothing imminent at the time. And I acknowledge that if it was a mistake, or I apologize to them if it was a mistake. But at the time, we were fourth on the ranks of trying to get anything done, and I didn't see anywhere the talks were going, and that's the message I delivered. It's my job to always go to these guys and talk about our team as it is. That's my job every year, and they will acknowledge that I do that with them every year.
Hi, Mark Douglas, 680 News. When you plan trades of this level, do you take into account at all fan satisfaction or possible disappointment? Does that measure in at all, or do you just do what has to be done to get the trade?
You know, the fans are always on my mind, you know, like, but a lot of it too is they don't know the inner works and how things, no, I shouldn't say they don't know, but they don't have the information that we have. And that sometimes makes it hard. The reality is, if we didn't do anything, it's hard to satisfy, you know, everybody in our positions. If we didn't do anything, I think everybody will be pounding on. You didn't do anything, and it's the same team. So what's the difference? You're going to get, we're going to play the regular season, and we're going to get beat again in the playoffs. That would be the narrative going into the season. It's not based on that. I do acknowledge the fans because they've been spectacular for us, and they've been great. They do have a voice, but I have to do my job and on what's best for the Toronto Raptors at the time. And we feel that this was a risk or a deal that we were willing to make and to take.
Masai, you would have done obviously all your due diligence on this trade long before and got reports. What makes you think Kawhi is the kind of guy and man who would fit into this culture that you're trying to build? What kind of kid is he?
For me, from just looking outside, I'm anxious to know him some more. But what I can see is a basketball player, you know, a no-nonsense basketball player that plays on both sides of the floor and produces a championship player. He seems to have a quiet demeanor. And all of us human beings are built different, communicate different, and just getting to know him more is what we're going to do. But as a basketball player, if everything checks out, you know, he's somebody that I think has proven that he's the caliber of player that he is, and he's proven it with championships.